Okay, hi everybody. Happy 2015 to you all, and welcome to the first webinar that we're doing in 2015. I'm delighted to be joined by Philip Friston. It's been a very good year last year. We've got lots of things happening this year. Very pleased that we've had so many new members to the Trading the Market service. Thank you for that, and thank you for your support. We will have a live trading room this week. We're going to have one on Wednesday and one on Friday when I'm with Tom Williams. Okay, and then we've got the live seminar with Philip, Tom, and myself this weekend, the 5Ds. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Now, to start today's session, I want to talk a little bit of a review of some of the things that happened last year. And the reason I'm raising this now is certain things happened in the market which have set the scene for 2015. So in today's seminar or webinar, we're going to actually be looking at some of the longer term charts to see if there's any setups that can make us a lot of money in Q1. And it's very interesting. Last year, as you probably may or may not be aware, previously, because my message is somewhat contrarian, I've never been invited to speak on the television, but that's all about to change. And I'll explain why. Now, here is a picture of a seminar that we did in Bulgaria, in Sofia. That's me up on stage there, presenting a live trade in the currency futures market. I was shorting the Aussie dollar and the British pound, and we were only able to trade for an hour, but we made $600, and the trades were very clear. But what was interesting about this particular event, although I was going to be, or was the headline speaker there, no one else would trade live. There was about 15 speakers. No one else was prepared to trade live, but I was invited to speak on a panel which included a number of very well-known analysts from Bulgaria. That's me up over in the corner, and this is a guy called Mark Barton, who's from Bloomberg Television, and he's been with Bloomberg for 20 years. And I was very fortunate that he asked a very pertinent question to the panel of experts. That question was, what was the most significant news event for the markets in 2014? Now let me pose that question to you. What do you think was the most significant news event to affect the markets in 2014? And type in what you think. What do you think was the most significant news event in 2014 that had an effect on the markets? Okay, so Pavel's already typed in Ebola. Michael, you've mentioned the one that the whole panel mentioned apart from me, which was Ukraine. The dollar and the price of the dollar strengthening, that's a big one. End of the QE in the US, the quantitative easing. Price of oil declining, says Park. Okay, a lot of you typing in Ukraine. Crimea, of course, says Donald. James is saying oil. Well, let me explain to you what I said. Okay, and this got a gasp from the audience, but this is what I said. So they asked these three gentlemen here, what do you, Mark Barton here from Bloomberg was the moderator. He said, what do you think was one of the most important things, news events, to come out of 2014? And almost all of them said, well, they all said Ukraine. The fact that Russia had moved into the Crimea and the war there, that was the most significant event for the financial markets. So then he came to me and said, Gavin, what do you think in 2014 was the major news event that really made a difference to the markets? Can anyone guess what I said for the prize? What do you think I said? What did I think was one of the most significant events in 2014 that had an impact on the financial markets? See if anyone can get this. Pete says nothing. Ben's got it. Well done, Ben S. You got it absolutely spot on. Yep. Actually, so far, only one of you's got this. Okay, I'll give you a clue. Because for us, 2014, and our website, marketmanipulation.com, was hammered. So I'll give you a clue. What do you think I said was a major news story in 2014 that had an impact on the financial markets? Bearing in mind, I've written a book on the subject. Yeah, exactly, Jenica. Exactly, and David. Exactly. I said to the audience that the most important thing that's come out in 2014 is finally the mainstream media, not the back media, which I call them, which are the dark media, but the mainstream media have actually come out and they've confirmed that the market, not just gold and silver, which I've been talking about for years, but Forex, the biggest market in the world, okay, can be manipulated. Now, I said this as a story on the stage, and two of the other experts said, well, that can't be right, Gavin. The Forex market is too big to manipulate. And I answered, I'm sorry, sir, or gentlemen, but I don't agree with you, because George Soros was widely known to have done it in 1992, but now we know that, in fact, it's fairly straightforward to do it if you know what you're doing. And it says here, I'll read the headline. This is on BBC, by the way, BBC News, which is a major news institution in England, and in fact was also on some of the other major channels, including Bloomberg in the United States. It says the foreign exchange market is not easy to manipulate, but it's still possible for traders to change the value of a currency in order to make a profit. As it is a 24-hour market, it is not easy to see how much the market is worth on a given day. Institutions find it useful to take a snapshot of how much is being bought and sold. This happens every day in the 30 seconds before and after 4 o'clock in London, and this is known as the 4 p.m. fix. The fix is very important. Now, I'm going to explain something in our live trading room this week which will blow your mind, and I'm not going to mention it in here because we've got paying subscribers in that room, about the 4 o'clock fix and volume spread analysis, because there is a direct correlation between unusually high volume and market manipulation. Now, we know volume spread analysis is a method of analyzing a chart that looks at the activity of smart money, or the professional side of the market. Why is this relevant? Because we now are getting more and more evidence that not just individual stocks, not just commodities like palladium and platinum and gold and silver, but even the Forex market can be subject to these manipulative events. Now, why is this very good news? Now, this is a very interesting thing that happened. I discussed with Mark from Bloomberg why we as a company don't look at these as scandalous stories. We look at this as an opportunity to read a chart, to trade in harmony with what's going on. And he was so fascinated, I gave him a copy of the book, and just before Christmas, the 23rd of December, I went to Bloomberg and we sat and we had a discussion. And he made a very interesting comment. He said, Gavin, we get lots of analysts who come on this show and they have an opinion about the market, and invariably they're quite often wrong, but they're never held to account. So I said to him, well, Mark, I said, we have a service called tradingthemarkets.com where we give market calls and we can go back and look to see whether we were right, whether we were wrong. And he said, well, can you give me some examples? I said, well, I'll give you one example, which was a very obvious trade setup from VSA's perspective. And this is what I showed, and I'm going to show this to you all now, okay? Now here, this is the Trading the Markets alert service. Some of you won't be aware of it because we've got a lot of new customers here. But I run a live trading room twice a week that runs, well, it runs 8 times a month, I should say. It's not always twice a week. Sometimes we do 3 in a week. Sometimes we do 2 in a week. But as part of that service, trading the markets, we issue an alert when we see a principal. Now, I'd already been short crude oil for some time, but when I issue an alert, I want to try and find what I call a high probability setup. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to one that was issued here about nearly 3 weeks ago now. And it was a day trade, which means we hold this until the target is hit. Now, I'm actually going to play this video to you, and then I'm going to show you the chart. Bear with me a sec. Let me just switch to the other computer. And I just want you to listen here. The crude oil was trading at $55. Look very carefully here at what we're about to show you. I'll make it full screen. And then we'll go and actually look at what happened. And then we can see a setup that's coming next week and this week. In fact, there's several opportunities that are coming. So let me play this to you. I'll just put the other screen on for a second here and see if you can hear this.
Hi everyone, welcome to tradingthemarkets.com. We trade the service using avoiding spread analysis, sequential trade setups. Got an alert here on crude oil. We did one a few weeks ago when it was trading up at 82 for a short trade, and this thing's just kept going, and it still looks weak. And this is the reason for the alert now, because there will be some opportunities over the next couple of weeks to make a lot of money on this contract. Now, you can see probably quite clearly here on this 4-hour chart why the alert's coming out. Look at what we've got here yesterday. Now, we can see here, we know what the Russian bank have already done to support their currency. Well, somebody wants oil lower. Look at this bar here. Now that is a confirmed supply coming in bar in a downtrend with the next bar closing lower. So we know that that is a confirmed indicator, and we also know it's very likely we'll now see no demand, possibly back up at 56. So that's what we're going to be looking out for the next, certainly the next 48 hours up till Friday evening. Now, of course, you could get an up thrust here, but remember, weakness appears on up bars, and that is a seriously weak bar. You can see that the massive volume that came in, 187,932 contracts, closed bottom 25% of the bar, next bar was down, and you can see here, the market tried to go back up, completely rejected it on high volume, and is struggling even now. So no demand is what we're going to look out for. Now, if we look at the other time frames, you're going to see why this is going to be a good probability trade. You can see that crude oil is trending down on the weekly, the monthly, and the daily charts. You can see here with the red diamonds. That's what we look for, alignment. Now look here, you can see that the 4 hours on its way down. The hourly is already showing us weakness. Even a few hours ago here, we had a trap up move. So very likely we'll see no demand here. And that's why I'm going to get this alert out to you fairly quickly. And then the 5-minute and 15-minute charts doing much the same thing. 15 minutes found a bit of support, as we can see, which isn't particularly surprising, but I'm certain we'll see no demand here. And on the 5-minute chart here, you actually can already just see it. It's just come in. There it is. No demand on the 5. So it looks like it'll roll over possibly fairly quickly. But what I'm looking for here is the market to get down to 54, the round number, and then I've got a target of $50. But then after that, I think by the end of January, we could see $40 for crude oil, and indeed I should be appearing on Bloomberg Television, then we're going to talk about that in the next couple of weeks.
Now let me show you what actually happened then. I won't reveal all of that alert because there's a trigger number here, but let's go and have a look at crude oil, and then I'm going to get Philip to come in and do, sorry, let me just switch my Skype off here. I'm going to get Philip to come in and have a look at crude for us in a bit more detail. Longer term. Now this has been, as I say, for December, this has been my best trade. All right, and it's one of the trades I take only on the big account, not on the small account in the live trading room. But what you're going to see here, right? We gave a target of $50 US on the alert, okay? And you can see here the alert was sent out back here. You can see this very unusual volume bar. I said to look out for an up thrust. There it was. That's your up thrust, massive volume. Knocks the market sideways, as we can clearly see. You get supply coming in, but then on the hourly chart, what we saw was multiple examples of no demand as the market was falling. And what you'll see here, when you get these principles coming in, they come in on up bars, and that's the bit that confuses people. They say, well, hold on a minute, you know, weakness, when it appears, remember that, appears on an up bar, and you can see today the low that was made here was 49.95 dead on. Now I've now closed my position, okay, so I'm out for the moment. And the reason I'm out is we've got a potential shakeout and a change in behaviour, and it's on very high volume, closing in the middle on a narrow spread. So guess what? Right at the round number, which was our target, and again, what I do in the actual alerts, apart from doing a video, we actually say which signals to look out for, okay? Again, point and figure projects that crude oil will be at $40 by mid-February. Now, at the moment, I have to take a view that I've seen a shakeout, and if that gets tested, we could easily rally back up to the 55, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of that. So what I'm going to do now is let's have a word with Philip, and let's get his view. Let me just switch my other mic on. All right, Philip, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Perfect. Now, very interesting talking to Mark from Bloomberg. His view that was just based on opinion was that oil could go to $40 a barrel. I believe it could go much lower. I think the Saudis want it lower at the moment to try to squeeze some of these shale gas companies out. Now, Philip, did you get my trade alert on iGas, a UK stock, to go short about 3 weeks ago?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay, well you should have got it. I'll show you it in a minute. I'll show you the alert. In fact, let me talk about crude first, and then I'll come back to that iGas alert that I sent out, and we'll have to find out, Philip, why you didn't get that, because it was a beautiful trade. The reason that we were very, very confident that that was going to come lower, it's a UK stock, was it was connected to the price of oil. So let me make you a presenter, Philip. And for those of you who don't know Philip, because I know we've got a lot of new people who've recently joined us, Philip's been trading with VSA now for 26, 27 years, something like that. He's a fund manager, a professional fund manager based in the UK. And Philip's actually, for those of you that signed up for the 5Ds training course this weekend, Philip's actually one of the participants there with Tom and myself. So Philip, let's ask you, what do you think then of crude oil? Over to you.
Right, well, this always interests me looking at crude oil because it's not a market that I've followed a lot in the past, but I'm certainly following it very closely at the moment because it's obviously very, very interesting with these big declines. And at some point there's going to be an opportunity, because any market that falls eventually will reach a bottom, and finally when it does reach a bottom there's going to be some interesting opportunities. But looking at this is the weekly chart of the futures contract, and it's a continuous futures contract, so that means that we can actually, every time a contract finishes, it rolls into the next month's contract, so we can look at this over a long-term basis. Now we look at 200 bars, so that's roughly 4 years of data on that. We had a trend channel which I've got drawn in with these two blue lines, and it held pretty well within that channel. You can see I've got another smaller channel within that. Initially it broke this smaller channel which I've got here, and you can see it pushed down through there. Then it broke down through the larger trend channel which had held all the way back to here. And it's interesting because if I put 100 bars up, when we look at the breaks of the two channels, first of all this channel here, if we look at what happened here, we've got a trap up move, and then we push down through. Now this is textbook VSA. If you read Tom or Gavin's book, you will see in there that it always says if price pushes down towards the bottom of the trend channel and it rushes down towards that level on increasing volume, you would anticipate a break of that trend channel, which is weakness. Now we had it here, as you can see. There's an attempt, you've got a green signal here because there's an attempt here to try and support the market, but that attempt failed because there's too much supply, and the next bar closed down, which tells you that. Here we've got a similar situation, only this is just a widespread down bar closing on the lows, again pushing down through this support line. Notice having broken through the support line, price rises back up to the underside of that line and then falls away again. Now this is the weekly chart, so this is a longer term picture. Now ignore this last bar on the chart because this last bar is not complete. Or is it? Sorry. What's today? Monday. It is, I beg your pardon, it was complete because it's a part week. I'm forgetting, I was thinking it was Tuesday today. I don't know about you, Gavin, I get very confused with these holidays. I keep getting the days wrong.
Yeah,
but
actually, Philip, it's interesting. It's trading at the moment at exactly the same price live. It's trading at 50.48 at the moment. So it's trading.
Is it?
Yeah, just by pure coincidence. I don't know if that's. It's trading actually at the point that your bar closed, which is quite interesting.
Right. So because it's down today, wasn't it? It's been. I think it hit $50. You said earlier today.
It did. It broke. It hit my target.
So we've actually seen it hit the round number.
Yeah, it hit the target of 50 earlier on today, which is exactly where I have my profit target. But we'd also issued a short alert on that through trading the markets back in November when it was trading up at 85. Some of you will remember that. So it's gone all the way down to the 50, which I was confident. I actually think this will go to $20 a barrel, personally. I think it'll end up there. So it'd be very interesting if that happens. Yeah.
Sam, I remember you getting that alert right up here. $50.
A couple of people said, can everyone hear us, by the way? A couple of people said the sound cut out. Just want to make sure. Earl and Miki said they couldn't hear us, but I can hear Philip. Yeah, no, everyone can hear us. Carry on, Philip. That's good. That's good.
Right. So let's go on now to the daily chart. Let's look at a little bit of the shorter term picture. So this obviously doesn't include today's price action because today's price hasn't closed yet. So again, we've got a downtrend channel in place. Always draw your trend channels in. Now we came down here this is the end of October, so this is just after Thanksgiving. And we had a widespread down bar as we approached the bottom of the trend channel. Now there's an attempt there to try and push down through the trend channel, but there was enough support coming in at that point as the market broke down to push it back up again. So there was some buying coming in there. The next bar, we actually see what's called no supply. Now, what's happened is their price has been marked down back into the area where there's a high volume, and this time there's less volume. It's still quite high, but compared to the two previous bars, it's lower. Now, normally, that would be, you'd be quite optimistic if you see that, but bearing in mind we're in a really solid downtrend here, the next bar is the absolute giveaway. Because look what's happened here. Price has been marked up, the computer is telling you, weakness has appeared. This is really a no demand bar, it's an up bar, and as it's been marked up as a result of this test or no supply bar here, there's no interest by the professionals in higher prices. And if there's no interest in the professionals, you don't want to be involved. And indeed the next bar then closes down and we continue to fall, and then we push down on increasing volume as we break through this area which was support over here. So if we keep coming down, we've got increased volume. Now we did see a little bit of lack of selling pressure on this bar, which is 15th of December, which allowed a little bit of support to come in for the market, but it was only temporary, and it was really just an oversold position which allowed the market to just run sideways over the period of the approaching the holiday. You can see here there was an effort to push down. As it pushed up here, we see it closes off the highs, still fairly high volume, next bar's down, then it pushes up, slightly lower volume, and then we continue to fall. A little bit careful over the holidays here with low volume, but the point here that you've got to ask yourself is, when prices come down, do you see any accumulation or buying taking place down here? Now I don't see any significant buying coming in at these levels. Now there may well have been today, obviously we'll have to wait for today's bar to close, but we've continued to fall. We've got some weak looking, there's a little bit of support perhaps coming on that bar, 31st December. You pushed up on this bar, which was Friday, but there's still too much supply around, which is why it's closed down near the low, and then today it's pushed down to the 50. Now today's bar, I think is going to be very, very significant, because if there's huge volume on today's bar, it could tell you, and I don't want to anticipate it before we see the bar, but it could tell us that there's some short-term support coming in for crude oil. It would be a natural support level around the 50 because it is a round number. Now, that's all really that I can see on the chart. It would be lovely actually if we just see today's close, because I think today probably will be quite a significant bar, and it will give us a very firm clue as to where crude oil is going to go over the next couple of weeks. If we do see a down bar with very high volume closing perhaps in the top half of the bar with huge volume, and if we had a narrow spread it would be even better, that would suggest there is some temporary support coming in. That wouldn't necessarily mean the market's just going to go shooting straight up, because remember, if you do see support coming, you have to build a cause, and the likelihood is that you may just build a cause for an up move for a short period. Then if you see further supply coming in, then you're likely to continue downwards. Any rally on this, if it got anywhere near this level here, is going to hit very significant resistance if it got up that far. So for me at the moment, looking at the crude oil chart, it looks very negative. In the short term, we are somewhat oversold. We've hit a round number, and you may see a bounce depending on what today's price bar tells us. But I would suggest this is still looking pretty negative longer term at the moment. So back to you, Gavin.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. I spot on. In fact, let's just echo what Philip's saying there on my chart, and I'll show you what I'm seeing. There will be opportunities to make money on this contract in the next few months. I mean, this is the daily chart, which you've already seen there. But if we go to what I'm monitoring here is the trending system, okay, which you saw earlier. Now, here's crude oil on the 4-hour chart, very negative, 1-hour chart. But I'm using the 4-hour chart for my setups. They're the ones where I've had some really good. You can see the trend is very nice. And you look here. I mean, this is not these two signals here, which was where I sent the alert out back in December, look, 17th of December. That's causing the price to move lower. All right. Now, I'm not seeing any bag holding, or there's a little bit of a shakeout that's just come in. And again, I would expect $50 to act as support. But mind you, if that support gets broken on a widespread down bar on an increase in volume closing near the low, then we're going to $40 next. That's where it will head, and it'll be a very good trade. And I think this could be the contract to watch for the next few months. And certainly, I think this is one of the ones we'll be featuring in the live trading room over the next few weeks. JW said, I thought no supply needed to close off the lows to be a real no supply. It's actually, JW, to be fair, with no supply, it's the volume you want to watch. And the range of the bar should be narrow, but whether it closes in the middle or the low, you know, it doesn't make as much difference. You want to look at that volume. If that volume is really, really low into an area where there was high volume, then you don't need to worry too much about where it closed. No supply is fairly obvious when you see it. I mean, because you'll have a shakeout, you'll have them, or bag holding, the market will move sideways, try to move up, and then as it pulls back, there's no supply, meaning there's no volume on the down move. That's what no supply actually is. Brandon was talking about Tom's downtrend. The way, yeah, I agree with you. If you look at Tom Williams' trending system, okay, which is very simple, it's not complicated. You put that to the daily chart, and you start looking at down bars versus up bars, yeah? And you can see quite clearly, look, you've got lots of down bars. All the up bars that come in, there's only ever 2 up bars. You don't really get on the daily charts any more than 2 up bars. And so we're still trending down. So you've got down, 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 1 up bar, down bar, 1 up bar, 1 down bar, 1 up bar, 2 down bars, 1 up bar. It's trending down. It's trending down. And you know, at the end of the day, with crude currently trading or hitting that magical $50 a barrel level, which it did in the futures today, we can clearly see that that's very weak, very weak. This oil trend channel supply line to the top of the December 27th up thrust, you're saying. Let me just go back to the daily chart. That's the daily, and again, we were looking to see if we'd see any no demand bars here. There is weakness down here on the 22nd, and then on the 27th, on the daily, that's not an up thrust, that's actually a test. They're testing the market there on the daily chart, but on the 4-hour chart, which is the one I'm monitoring, yeah, just around here, you've got your supply coming in to the market on that up bar. There wasn't, you know, there was a pretty good move, as you can see, over the New Year period down to 50. And so it's actually looking, as I say, I think it'll get to 40. We've just got to wait for the next up thrust before we short it. But once I see that, obviously we'll definitely let you know. Okay, I want to talk about a UK stock. Now, Philip, you still got your mic on?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes, sorry. So I turned it off.
I want to make sure you didn't miss this, because this is quite an important one. It was on the 9th of December, and it was UK stocks, iGas, CBuy and AGL. Okay, but specifically I was focused in on iGas. Right. Hi there, welcome to tradingthemarkets.com, the trading alert. Right, now, let me explain to you what happened then. This is there were several stocks in the UK market, for those of you that, and it doesn't matter whether you trade US stocks, Malaysian stocks, Singaporean stocks, doesn't make any difference, Australian stocks, the same principles appear. There was some news about these stocks, okay, and I actually put the actual report that had come out about these particular instruments and why they were considered to be weak. But iGas, which is this stock here, was trading when I sent the alert out at just under 50 pence a share. All right, so it was still up fairly high, but there was a lot of weakness in the background. Now, if I go and show you this, what actually happened on this stock, it's quite fascinating, because if you look at the weekly chart, we're now trading down at 35, so it's fallen quite considerably. I mean, that's a pretty good move. If you're an options trader trading puts, which is what I use, then here you can see we were in the money very quickly. And if you look at the daily chart, all right, you can see the sort of things that we wanted you to look out for. If you go and look at the alert, you can see no demand with a trap up move in the background on high volume. Very nice downtrend in place, as we can see. Lots of weakness around, and it's heading down to 20. I mean, this is going to go down to 20. There's no doubt about it. It's very, very weak. And it's got all the principles that are in crude oil. They're on this chart. In fact, there's so many good charts at the moment to analyse. I mean, we're almost lost. But the one, for those of you in England, because I'm going to be doing I'm going to be speaking at the London Investor Show in February. For those of you that want to come, I've got a presentation there. I'm looking forward to that. I want to talk about Quindel. I'm going to get Philip to analyse this one for us again. And there's a reason that Philip and I are following this stock, which we won't say why at the moment, but we might better make an announcement about that hopefully in the next few weeks. But I mean, first of all, you've got to believe in the principles, even though the news is at its very worst here. Okay, it was really bad, and I thought, oh, this stock is potentially going down the toilet. But what I did then is mark some trigger numbers. Now, when you see no supply, someone asked about this earlier. I think it was JW. This is what no supply looks like. It's in the right place. Now, the news here has to be horrific. In fact, if I type in news Quindel, 10th of December, okay, so we'll type in Quindel news December 10, 2014. Okay, so we'll look for some really bad news. There you go. There it was. Quindel PLC crashes as Rob Terry, who's actually the CEO, dumps 25 million shares. Okay. Now the news is horrific. It has to be horrific in order for any type of activity. Steve's asking a question about option trading. How long do you buy your put for? Months? Yeah, usually for months rather than the short-term trading. I do actually, I mean, I'm going to start to trade options in the trading room. I was going to try and do this early or later on last year. I had to put it off. But it's binary options. I'm going to be using those as well, which we haven't done before. So binary options will be used as well. That's something we'll start teaching you in the live trading room. But here, going back to the chart, here's the news, right? Here's the signal, right? It's a climactic bar, right? Now that is a selling climax. Now, the question is, have we built enough cores to move up through this area at 65, where the second highest volume is on the chart? Because this first climactic bar came back down and made a new low. Now, the question is, if it can get above 65, which is my next trigger number, and then break this area here at 95, this stock could rally quite strongly. But at the moment, there's still supply present. Let me bring in Philip and see what he thinks. So just bear with me. Okay, Philip, I'll hand the chart over to you. Now, I know you've got Quindell, and you and I are watching very closely. What's your thoughts on this?
Right, well, this is the weekly chart of Quindell, which, same as you were just looking at now. I was looking back. This is using Metastock data, and the furthest back I can go on this particular chart, data is back to 2011. And I looked to see what the lowest price was back here, and I came up to 26.25. And I extended that line across 26.25. We made a low on massive volume here on the weekend of 12th of December last year. Hit a low of 24.1. So pretty close to that 26.25. And we actually closed up at 41. But you can see, if you look at this chart, this volume on the weekend of 12th of December was the highest volume anywhere on the chart. You've also got two very high volume weekly bars here on the 14th of November and the 21st of November. And that's the high volume that Gavin was just talking about, around about the 90 level. Now, remember, this is a weekly chart, so to get your levels, we go down to a daily chart to get a little bit more accurate. So let me move down to the daily chart, make it look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, here's our downtrend channel, which is these two thick lines. And we came down to the bottom of the channel here. We didn't quite reach the bottom there, which is usually a good sign. Now, I'm just going to hide that channel just for a second, because I've got a little bit too much on the chart. That's better. In fact, let me hide the other channel as well. Choose that one. Then we can get the chart a little bit clearer. So let's go down to 100 bars rather than 200. And let's look at what we've got. Now, we came down to here. This was in November. There was an attempt here to try and support the market. There's certainly some high volume. And as we push back down to that level, we see the volume was then lower. That allowed the market to push up. But unfortunately, as it pushed up, we saw quite a lot of volume coming in. There's an effort here to try and push higher and break through this area to the left. But in fact, you can see that failed. Now, the top of that bar was 94, which ties in with what Gavin was just saying about the 90 level. In fact, we look at this bar over here, high of that bar, fairly high volume on, actually both of these bars, high of that bar was 115, that one was 99. So there is still certainly quite a bit of supply up here that we need to be aware of. But here, as I say, we've got an up bar, average volume, it's closed in the middle, so it's telling us there's some supply present, especially on the previous bar, and then we start to fail to make any progress and the market comes back down. Now, as it comes back down, this bar here on the 10th of December is the most important bar on the entire chart, because the volume or the activity that took place on this bar is the highest anywhere. If I put 500 bars up for a second, and you look across, there's no volume anywhere over here on 500 bars, which is over 2 years of data, which comes anywhere near that bar on the 10th of December. So let's go back to that. So what I've done is I've marked the top of that bar initially, which is at roughly 48. So my initial aim is to try and break above the 48 level and see if we can then get a test. Now, let's just follow this across, because this bar is important, as I say, for several reasons. First of all, because of the massive volume or activity. It takes place on a down bar. It closes off the low of the bar, and it's taken place after a long period of falling prices. Now, the computer tells us potential selling climax. Now, I'm not going to read all the text box, but if you put the text box up, this describes to you exactly what's happening. You've got one or more professional groups who have decided that the underlying market is now good value and will step in and begin absorbing the supply, and covering of shorts will also add to the volume. There should be a clear downtrend in place in the background, which there is. Weak holders will eventually panic and sell, regardless of the price, offering the professionals the opportunity to acquire holdings at a good price. Now, I'm not going to read all of that because there's quite a lot on there. But what we're then looking for is what happens subsequently. Now, let's just follow this across. As we push up first couple of bars, we fail to take out the top of that bar at 48. Indeed, we actually get a no demand signal. So this is telling us at this point the stock's not ready to go up. Market then starts falling off. As it is marked back down towards the close of that ultra high volume bar, look at the volume here. Right at the bottom, it's very, very low. You can see it's coloured pink. And the computer's actually brought up a potential signal there which tells us no supply. Sign of weakness 198. Sorry, sign of strength 198. So it's telling us that as price has been marked down to an area where there was previously high volume, now that volume has disappeared. And if there's no selling pressure when it gets marked down, it means the selling that took place a few bars to the left has now finished. The people who wanted to sell there have now sold, and that gives the professionals the signal to allow prices to start moving up. Now, as price moves up, you can see there's a little bit of volume coming as we push up, and really the first volume comes in on this bar here, and there's an increase in volume on an up bar closing near the high as we try and push through that 48 level. Now, obviously, market closed at 4:30 in London, and I haven't had a chance to get today's data on, but I know this stock did close up today, and it pushed up above the 48 level, which was in a very heavily falling market today, so it did pretty well to do that. What I'm looking for initially is to see whether it comes back towards this 48 level, and it tests the breakout. So what we're looking for is a down bar back towards this 48 level. It might not quite get down to the 48, but if the volume on the down bar is very low, that tells us there's still no supply around. And that will then allow the market to start pushing up and attacking some of the supply further up here. Remember, there is still supply up here at higher levels. So you have to be aware of that. So, if you're looking at this from an investment point of view, we're very early days yet, and we haven't confirmed a change of behavior as yet. But there is certainly accumulation here. And if we can take out the top of that bar at 48, we are beginning to set the tone for some higher prices on this. So it's certainly looking a lot more optimistic than it did a few weeks ago. And this is not a stock I'd want to be short on at the moment, unless, of course, we took out the low of this bar. But we're really looking at this now, I think, to start trying to push up if it can test above this 48 level. So it's a very interesting stock to watch, this one. But you must also be aware of areas of resistance over to the left here, which you can mark using the high volume bars, draw your horizontal lines across, and be aware of those levels. So back to you, Gavin.
Yeah, brilliant, Philip. Absolutely brilliant. That's exactly what I was going to say to Neil. So we're both on exactly the same place. And it's funny, actually, when I saw the selling climax there, it was the worst news you could possibly ever see. The CEO deciding to dump shares, and there's a potential lawsuit around it. And I said to Mark Barton when I was at Bloomberg, I said, this stock's going to go higher. And it's gone, it broke today, it closed at 52, Philip, today.
Yeah, I remember, I looked at it earlier today and saw it was going. I think it came off a little bit because the market was so weak today, but it did well to push up to all. Yeah,
and now it bucked the index. I think it actually rallied quite strongly, which was good. All right, now let's take a look at the currencies then and forex, because I'm not going to say anything too much, but we're going to be doing a big forex event towards the end of the month with a company called Active Trades that we've partnered with here in England. Their MT4 platform is absolutely superb. So let me take the screen back, and we're going to go and have a look. And then I'm going to do some stock scans of the US market, the Aussie market. We'll do the Aussie market and see if we can do a couple of other markets as well. But no, we're going to do a special dedicated once a month webinar with this firm specifically on Forex and how to trade it. And I've got their platform up and running at the moment. It's very impressive. It's the MT4 platform, and it also works with MT5. It's very good. Okay, let's go straight forward then. We've talked about Quindel. Let's go and have a look at the euro. Now, of course, this is obviously in the news at the moment. And one of the shorts that I issued, and it was my trade back in mid-December, was the British pound. Okay, that was a short alert. Let me just show you that. Bear with me. Okay, and the Aussie dollar as well. That's right, John. Yeah. Go all the way back up here because I think I made it a public event. There we go. So 12th here of November this was. Okay, because this is an American server, so it's the 12th of November. It was a swing trade position. Okay, it had a target of 1.5000. Okay, so the first. Hi, welcome to Trading the Market. So the initial target on this alert was at 1.57000, and then it carried on going. Now, a lot of you I know are still short. I just want to have a look at the chart for you on the British pound because there's been a lot of news about it, and we're going to start with the daily chart. Okay, all right. Now, this will instigate a trade alert in the next few days, okay? And it's not going to be on the long side at the moment. But remember, Pat, we haven't talked about the S&P at all yet. We're just currently going on to, we've talked about crude oil, which has been in the news. We've talked about the a couple of UK stocks that we sent some alerts out on. This is one now. This is the currencies we're going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about all of them tonight. I'm going to focus on the British pound and the euro because they're both pretty much connected. Now, again, it's very, very interesting that when you see news coming out that a currency is getting stronger against the dollar, very often the banks are selling into the market. Now, I know I have good, strong evidence that banks were selling the pound here and the dollar was becoming stronger. Now, how do I know that? That was June of last year, and I've used this example in many of my presentations. That is a buying climax. Okay, that is what it looks like. It's into fresh high ground. That could have almost been the end of a rising market signal because it was. Well, let me show you. Let me show you. Let's put up 500 bars. Okay, now you can see we've got a strong uptrend behind us. We can see that. We're into fresh high ground almost. I think that's why it probably didn't put end of a rising market on it, because there is another signal over here that the market at that level has got no demand, and because it sees at that level, it's called it a buying climax. But it is definitely, it's a daily chart of the British pound. Now remember, I always said this in my book, and I've said it in seminars, we don't short those, we wait for the change in behaviour. It takes several weeks. But then lo and behold, here comes my alerts. We've got the red one here, no demand, at the trigger number, which is the bottom of the buying climax bar. Then we've got a gotcha bar. Okay, that's what a gotcha bar looks like. And there's several on this chart. One here, there's an up thrust here, and then you've got many, many signs of weakness. And then yesterday, look, we have another confirmation. All right, now this is an unusual signal, but it's a confirmation. It's taken out any prior support. And now what I'm going to be looking for, and where you're going to get the alerts, for those of you that are subscribed to the service, is going to be when we see the no demand bar on the 4-hour chart. Now, a lot of people have asked me, do I sit at the computer, or does the team of us sit at the computer 24 hours a day looking for principles? No, it's all done by email. Okay, we've programmed in these alerts so that we get emailed the alert as it appears, and then we analyze it and do the video. That's how it works. However, this year, probably in the second quarter, we'll have the system so good that actually the emails will come automatically out to you without a video, so you won't need them. It'll just tell you exactly what the setup is. Now, here on the daily chart, you've got weakness appearing. My target on this trade was 1.5000. It's a swing trade position, and we're very, very close now. And we're looking very good for the round number. Markets will always head down to the round number. But before we get there, there will be shakeouts, and that always happens. And look at this volume coming in. There is a potential bounce on this chart as they mark it back up for more selling. So at the moment, I've moved my stop onto a, well, currently my stop's at 1.5497. So it's on the big account. It's a long way away. And the reason for that, if you look at the high here, okay, you've got this weakness. Here is the last point, as you can see, where the market had a gotcha bar. Yeah, I don't think it'll get anywhere near that, but I do expect some whipsawing in here. But the reason I haven't actually closed all of the position out is sometimes when you see a shakeout, they'll test it and then it will fall further because the test fails. There is still going to be some supply present on that bar. So we're going to watch this very closely in the live trading room because of that setup coming. Very, very, very powerful setup. Now, euro. Everyone's been asking about the euro. Okay, well, we'll start off with the daily chart. Okay, it's ugly. I mean, it's a bloodbath. There's no other word for it. It's in a downtrend. It's broken my downtrend channel. This is the trend channel I had. For those of you who saw the last trade we took in the euro, which is in December, this was the channel I was following. You can see here, we go back up into the bottom of the channel, no demand on the daily, rocket down, and we're still going. I don't see this stopping at the moment. I think it's going to get much worse. I don't see any reason here to be thinking of long the euro. But let me ask Philip. Philip, what's your view of this chart? I don't know if you follow the euro, but I think there's going to be an awful lot of money to be made on this contract with all the news and the volatility that's coming out.
I must be honest, Gavin, I haven't really been following the currencies much this last couple of weeks. I've been focusing. There's so much going on the stock market that I do have a good look to see how the dollar's doing, the dollar index, but that's the one I'd probably...
Do you think the US dollar's strengthening considerably now, and that's going to hold it?
Oh, definitely. Yes. I mean, it's been strengthening obviously for some time, hasn't it? But yeah, it's building up to a crescendo now.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the key for me is if it breaks 1.5 to the pound, it could get down to 1.4, which would be a record. I mean, that would be very, very unusual for it to get down that low. But the pound could become very weak. And at the moment, look at where we're trading with the, against the US dollar. Now, if you want to trade this in a live trade, there are opportunities coming, I think, in the next 48 hours, which is why on Wednesday, we're going to open the live trading room as the Fed makes its announcement, because the Federal Reserve, as we all know, will make an announcement on Wednesday of this week. I don't want to be trading or into positions that are shorter term when that announcement comes out, because it can be very, very volatile. So what we'll do on Wednesday, as the Fed makes its announcement, I'll open the live trading room and we will then analyze the reaction to it, because you trade the reaction to the Fed announcement. You don't trade into it. Please do not be in a position. You'd be foolish to be in a position as that announcement comes out, because I think it's going to set the tone for 2015. And I'm not even going to second guess it. I'm not even going to try. It's going to be a major move in the market, rest assured. So the euro I still think is weak. The pound is still weak, and the dollar at the moment is strong as we move forward. Now, what I do want to do before we wrap up is do a stock scan. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to scan the S&P, and I've got the data in here now, and I'm going to be looking for stocks that, as the market's had a correction, and we'll talk about the S&P in a minute, we're going to look for stocks that haven't fallen where the index has had corrections. There was some supply that came in just before Christmas. There was some profit taking, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. But I just want to draw your attention to something you can't ignore in the S&P. And I'm going to focus on the S&P for the moment, but this will apply to the NASDAQ and the Dow. They all did similar things. Look here. Okay, that is a shakeout at the bottom of the trend channel. The market went up. It made a high here of 2079. So it nearly got to the round number. Then up here, it went up to 208875. This is the weekly chart. I was actually, very confused by this price bar here. And I showed it to Tom. And I said to Tom, on this weekly chart, this bar here actually looks like a potential gotcha bar. And he said, well, the VSA signals aren't wrong. He said, if you look at the market trying to make its rally into November, it runs out of energy. That's all that happens. That's what's going on. It runs out of energy. It does get up there. But then here you've got a reversal, and they're back down today to this level, right, which is at the bottom of this trend line. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this area here get retested, because there's a lot of volume down here, and maybe that's their intent. Push it down, test it, and then a much bigger rally moving into February. But at the moment, it's not too obvious. Philip, what's your thoughts on the S&P?
Well, I was looking at the Dow, and I was looking at the Dow and the S&P together, and I was talking to Tom about this on Saturday, because we both said the same thing. We remembered that on the Dow, there was an end of rising market signal came in on the third Friday of December. And that weakness hasn't just disappeared. Thing is, the market has continued upwards a bit, but it's continued up on low volume and weak bars since then. And now we're starting to see the reaction back down to that level. In fact, yesterday it pushed right back down into the area, and I think today it's trying to break through it at the moment. We can't analyse today's bar obviously until it closes. But that bar was significant, and it's been followed by a number of weak bars. Now, if it really cleared that bar, which showed that massive volume, then the market wouldn't have reacted in a negative way. It would have closed up with widespread up bars on decent volume, closing up on the highs. And in fact, it hasn't done that. So I agree with you. I think this market is trying to pull back at the moment. If we go back to that low that you were talking about, that shakeout back in middle of October, the market ran up very, very quickly, a long, long way, and I think it just got ahead of itself. And I think it would be very healthy if the market did come back down to that level and retested the massive volume that came in there. That would definitely be a positive for the market, I think, if you could do that. So I would not be surprised to see that. The other thing is, I mean, the London market, I don't know that we've got anybody here who follows the London market, but the London market has been very, very weak. In fact, last year, the London market was actually down, trouble is I read several different figures. I think the FTSE was down something around 7 or 8% on the year. Mm-hmm. Bearing in mind the S&P was very strong last year, that shows the level of underperformance of the FTSE 100. Now, one of the reasons for that, obviously, is there's a lot of resource stocks and oil stocks in the FTSE 100, which weakened it. But the market generally, I think, in London was a lot weaker last year than the S&P, mainly, I think, on worries about the election coming up. But, no, I would not be surprised to see that market come back and retest that massive supply and that shakeout. Yeah,
I agree. JW says, I thought low volume rise on the October capitulation was bullish. This is bullish. This is bullish. 2-bar reversal. But I agree with Fred. Looking at the weekly chart, it goes up as the price is rising. The volume is diminishing. That isn't bullish. What you want to see in a bullish market is increasing volume on up bars and decreasing volume on back and down bars. And I think that's what confused a few people up here. Is this no demand bar? The next week tried to close higher. What's going on here is you've got a real battle up there to make this new highs between the bulls and the bears. And at the moment, as we look at this bar here, which you expect to see in the December holiday week, there's very little volume on it. They're just marking it back down. And the key level that you all want to watch now is this 2000 level. Because if it breaches that and it breaches the low of that bar, then there's a great opportunity to short it, even against that big trend. Because if we look at the daily chart here, again, you can see that the indicators aren't wrong. You've come up, here's my trend channel. We blew out of it, came back into it, almost got up to the 2,100 level, which is what I thought we'd get to. We were very close, 12 points. Now look, they're marking it back down to where we've got these 3 indicators. Now, if the market comes back in here, which it very likely will, and we get a test down here, low volume, into this area, high volume, there'll be a massive recovery. But if it doesn't, if it fails, oh my goodness, we could easily see a market collapse. But there's nothing there above us that I could see to tell me that's going to happen. So we trade what we see. Okay, we wait for it to happen, which is exactly why we do trading the markets as an alert service because every day is different. It's a new day, and we're going to see new information. And remember that you know, it's all well and good having an opinion about the market, but the market doesn't have an opinion about itself. It just trades. And so you've got to be quick and nimble and get in and out when you see an opportunity. Now, the other, what I wanted to do now was do a quick, I can't look at any more currencies, we're going to run out of time. But what I will do, okay, in the live trading room, which will be operating on Wednesday, we'll actually, yes, yeah, I will, Philip, I'll give you that as well. Definitely. Philip's going to take a look at the daily on the S&P as well, on the cash for us. We will be trading the Forex and the currency futures now, because I've just opened an account, or about to open an account, I should say, let me be clear, with this new Forex company. So we'll be using the MT4 trading platform for those of you that are interested in that. Okay, so let's do a scanner. Now we're going to do a stock scan, and we're going to scan the S&P. I'm going to load the index. I'm using Metastock data for this. We've got the data up until Friday. And this could be very revealing, this scan. Again, for those of you who don't know what I'm using, this is end of day version 4 with Metastock data. If you're a stock trader, this is what Tom and I use to find our stocks. All the scan is preset. I wouldn't change it. I've been using this for 13 years and I've had no problem at all without having to change any of these reference points. Okay, now we're going to go and find which stocks. Gregory, not on Friday, I won't know, because I've got to actually get the account approved yet. So it'll probably be the following week. Okay, so we're just running through the scanner here. Good. I'm glad you're smiling, Gregory. I'm waiting for some Happy New Year news from you. Okay, so we're halfway through the scan. Now let me just explain. Yeah, Gregory, I know that. Yeah, I was at lunch with Richard today. So Flowers, no, at the moment the current version of Trade Guider RT does not send email alerts. It's not capable of doing that due to the software, which is why I'm using the Infinity AT platform, which does have that capability, and it does have the VSA indicators in it. But we are hoping to release, as I say, I'm not even going to mention version 5. We're still working on stuff, but we're so far advanced with technology at the moment now with these smartphones, and there's so many things that are happening in the financial markets that we're going to have to adapt to. And I would like to see it where on your smartphone you'll be able to get a chart and a connection to a broker, because that's the way I think we're going. I really believe that's the way the market's going to go. Okay, now this is one of my favourite stocks, and it's come up in the top here, right, which is, everyone probably knows this, Southwest Airlines, LUV. Okay. Yeah, Christian, absolutely. I can give you those details. The company's called Active Trades. I believe their website is activetrades.com. But what I'll do, if you want to, before you open an account, let me do the deal with them, because I'm going to try and get a special rate for Trade Guider customers. Samuel, no, the end of day version that we're running here is exactly the same one. There's been no updates to it. As far as I'm aware, there's none at all. So it's the same one that you probably got. You should have. You can check if there's a later version by going to Help and About, and it should be 4.06.5. But if you check with AJ, there may be a later version, but I think that's the latest one. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, Tony. When you're dealing with with software programs. I've learned the human race at the moment is running well ahead of itself. We will find in 5 years' time we won't even be using laptop computers or personal computers. It will all be done on smartphones and tablets. So we're really chasing the game. But there you go. That's fine. You know, we have to do that. Piotr, yeah, have a check with. I think you do. Yeah, I'm pretty certain you do, Piotr. I just saw your question. I'm pretty certain you do. I think it's for a month, but you need to check with support. Yeah, just email AJ in support, and he'll confirm it. All right, let's get to some analysis then. So, really nice chart. Look, this is Southwest Airlines. Airlines at the moment, budget airlines like Southwest are doing very well. You can see this stock is acting stronger than the index. Here's your fall in the index. Right, this is the collapsing down. Look at where this stock's going. It's trying to rally. So it's holding its own. So that's definitely one to watch. Staples Superstore, again, it's holding its own. Whole Foods, surprised this stock's doing quite well. I used to shop at Whole Foods when I was there, but yeah, it's doing fine. I mean, it's probably because of the Christmas period as well and the holiday period out in America, you know. But it is definitely trying to. There's the index, and the stock is trying to hold there. See if there's anything else here that catches my attention here. It's CarMax. Yeah, there's a lot of volume on the up bars. You want to be very careful, by the way. If you get a scan coming in and suddenly you see massive volume on these up bars like this, just be aware that if that's not tested, then that stock could fall. So just be aware of that. It's a gap up stock as well. Look, it's gapped up. Must be some news. Massive volume. Yeah, be very careful. That stock, you see, although it's been strong, it may be climactic now and some selling taking place. Brandon, thank you. I did. AJ did let me know that he'd been helping you. That's good. Robert, yes, we still have the VSA Club website. Absolutely. If you can't log in, you need to email Laura at tradeguider.com and she'll check your subscription. It's just Laura at tradeguider.com. But yeah, the VSA Club is alive and well, and Tom is putting his newsletters in there. Okay, let's have a look at some weak stocks here. Haha. Now that's what a weak stock looks like. All right, there it is. There's your parent index rallying. This stock is just, well, this could even be a trade alert here. Oh, this is ugly. Oh, this could easily fall. Dimbury Resource. I'm not sure what this company does, but that is not a strong stock. Another one. It's picking out these beautifully. Now Netflix, I'm a bit surprised about. Let me just have a quick look at that. Let's do the bar chart. Yeah, that is definitely weaker than the index. It's taken a bit of a pounding, but we've got some climactic action down here. Wouldn't like to. I mean, Netflix is a good company. I like them, but this is definitely not looking strong at the moment. Looking pretty weak. Let's have a look at one more. Sprint Nextel. Yeah, again, look, nice weak stock. You can see all the signs of weakness. This is what you look for. If you're going to put options, these are the type of stocks you want to short. Yeah, very, very clear. Okay, let's do the Aussie market. And then I'll do, in fact, we'll do the Okay, so we'll do the ASX. This is the Aussie market. Yeah, Michael was just saying the selling climax on a wide spread on that previous one, as opposed to bag holding. Yeah, if you see bag holding, it's very unlikely that the stock is going to go down any further. But when it's on a wide spread, often you need to see what Philip mentioned earlier. The market accumulate, go sideways for several weeks sometimes, then rally and then test. That's what you want to look for. John was saying, what about Sony and Best Buy? interesting, Sony's been under a lot of I'll see if it comes out. Well, you know, Sony and Best Buy have both been in the news recently. Let me just go through these charts and we'll see if we can go back and look at some of the other stocks that I've been following. But I'll, John, what I will do, I'll put both of those stocks on the watch list because they're not on my watch list at all. So I'll put them on the watch list, and if we get any alerts, obviously we'll let people know. Now, this is an interesting chart here. Let's have a quick look at this is the Aussie market. Okay, well, interestingly here you can see very strong stock, that one. That's Caltex. I'm just going to flick through these relatively quickly to see if there's anything that jumps out at me. There's Billabong here. Now that's got many signs of strength in there. Okay, and it's definitely, as the index is trying to go up, it's trying to push higher with it. Let's have a look at anything I recognise here. I don't recognise a lot of these stocks because I don't trade them. Cab Charge, I'm assuming that's a company that is a bit like Uber. I'm assuming, but I don't know. Khalid, APA, what market's that on? Okay, APA. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any really weak one. Oh, well, look at this. There's some really nice weak stocks in here. Look, see how the scanner picks these out? It's really easy to see them. It makes your life a lot easier when you're trying to find stocks to short or go long on. A lot of these are really negative. I don't know the companies, but you can just see how the index goes up and these stocks either go sideways or they go down. And that's important to keep in mind, because what you're looking for, Wyckoff taught us that in order to buy a stock, you want to wait for a bull market and then buy the dips. And that's exactly what's been going on the last 2 years. Nothing's really changed there at all. All right, so we've done that. I'll just do a quick scan of the London market. So let's do the okay. Just going to load the index up. Okay, so we'll do Metastock data. And we'll do the FTSE 100. We'll add a complete folder here. Okay, let's go. So we'll have a quick look here. This is the London market, just to see what's going on. Khalid wants to look at Apache Corp. Okay, that's APA. We'll have a look at that. Khalid, I've never studied that, so I'll put that on the watch list for our alert service as well. See if anything comes up. Again, when you guys are typing in stocks to watch, I actually put them on a list and I actually go and watch them. Now let's have a quick look. Kingfisher's one I've followed in the past. You can see though, and Philip's right, that the FTSE has been quite weak. A lot of these stocks, even though they're showing signs of strength, there's a good one. International Consolidate. You see here you've got a stock that's bucking the trend of the index. See where the index fell here? Look, this stock continued to rally with and it's got a very, very nice test here and some strength underneath it. Philip, are you familiar with this stock? Because I'm not. It's International Consolidate. I know you trade the FTSE.
That's the old British Airways.
Oh, is that what they're now called now? Okay.
Yes, yes. And it merged with another big company. I think it was a Spanish airline from memory.
Yes,
this company's
Iberia, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
And you've got EasyJet up there as well, which doesn't surprise me. Obviously they're gaining from the drop in the oil price.
Yeah, yeah, and you can see where the buying comes in. Look, this very nice chart. Yeah, these are airline stocks actually that are really picking up. Yeah, really picking up. Okay. So we've done some scans there. Again, if you want to look at stocks in the UK market, that some of these stocks are looking pretty weak. Again, I do this scan once a week. and just see if anything jumps out at me that's a real obvious candidate to short or go long. Interesting, BHP has come in, which is of course a mining company, and of course look at what's going on with their stock price. It's now starting to suffer because of what's going on in the news and everything like that. All right, let's go back to the US stocks then. I just want to draw your attention, if I may, to two stocks you've got to be watching, which is Apple, okay, and which has come down quite a bit from the time where it hit its high of nearly 120. We issued a long alert on that probably 9 weeks ago now, and then it started to come down. Now this is obviously a correction in a very strong trend, because if we look at Apple, it's been in a lovely uptrend. But at some point, professional money say, well, this is just, I'm not going to pay those type of prices, so there's no demand up there, and it's just popped down. So this is what's going on in all the markets. They're correcting. Google, same type of thing. It's finding support at certain key levels, but these are on my watch list. But the one that I've been asked to look at, there's a couple I'll just quickly take a look at. These are US stocks, so I'll put them under the US stocks section. Okay. Okay, so this is APA, it's Apache. Doesn't particularly look strong to me. There's weakness around. You've got an attempt to shake out the market here, but it's failed and it's gapped down. I don't like that type of behaviour where the market does this. It gaps down on a high volume here, and you can see actually it's coming back up. There's no obvious principle here that would say it's going to go up. But what I never want to do is trade against a trend like that. When you've got a shakeout, what you want to see is a real change in behaviour. Now it tries to do it there and there. See the green diamonds? But it fails, and then it gaps down. That's not strong. I would say that's fairly weak. Got to be very, 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 very careful. Yeah, I would be very, very cautious on that one. But I'll put it on the watch list, Khalid, and if anything happens that jumps out and there's a signal, then we'll obviously talk about it. I actually looked at that CLF chart the other day, funnily enough. Now, I think it was on a second computer. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, again, on this instrument, this particular stock, it's still at the moment is looking weak. You know, you've got a high volume on these up bars here. It's fallen, it's made a lower low, right? And it's going back up, look, at the moment. Narrowing of spreads on high volume. Be really cautious. You've got, yeah, that's an unusual signal to come in there. That is an attempt at a shakeout in the market. There is no supply. That could, I'll be honest, this stock could go either way, in my opinion, because, in fact, let me ask Philip on this one. Philip, looking at this, what do you make of what's going on here? You've got ultra high, but you've got massive supply present. You've got an upthrust, right? It collapses, it comes down to the old low, and then it makes another low, and it's going up. There's a lot of supply there. What would you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. You've got a couple of down bars there which look as if they're trying to provide support, but you've got that massive high volume up bar there in the background. So I think what I do is probably what you would do right now is put a line along the top of that high volume up bar and just leave it and see if the market can take that out. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
On exactly the same lines as I am as usual.
It's a game of patience, guys. You know, right there you've got a lot of supply present, and you've got an upthrust at the top. I'm surprised that hasn't got a signal on it. Actually, there must be a reason for that. But whatever, I can see it's a lot of supply on the up bar. It's knocked the market down. Now, I wouldn't even consider going long on this stock, and really, I wouldn't even consider going long at all on it, because I think you'll find it'll come back up to this level on no demand, and it could even be a short potentially. But I'll watch it. So no problem. Okay, I've only got about 3-4 minutes left before we run out of time. So what I'm going to do, Khalid, he says, please say hello to Philip Friston. May God bless you, Philip. He's missed you. So,
oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a few people actually said they like.
Very kind.
Well, just so you know, we have got an event with Philip this weekend, and Tom and myself. For those of you, a couple of you asked about it earlier. It's called the 5 Ds. I'll put the link into it now. Let me just, I did have that earlier. There it is. It's a different session than we've ever done. we're going to be talking a lot about thought processes. We're going to be talking about belief systems. If you want to find out what the program is, if you click on here, it'll tell you what we're going to do. We've not done a course like this before. It's going to be, I'm going to be talking quite a lot about the law of attraction, which is a very important universal law, which you know, if you understand it, it's not necessarily related to trading, but it's certainly related to belief systems. And in fact, I think one of the things that makes a great trader, Philip, we've talked about this before, is belief. Is that how important do you think, Philip, that is to being a good trader?
I think it's very important, and I think another thing that's very important is to have a positive outlook, and I think that's one thing I've learnt from you. I think since I've known you, I've probably become a more positive person.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah, positivity is a very important thing that can be learned. I believe that. I mean, it's sometimes when things go against you, especially in the markets, it's very easy to become negative, depressed, and angry. And those are emotions, unfortunately, which just create more of the same thing. And when you're positive and you've got a good outlook and you believe that good things are going to happen, for some reason, it is called the law of attraction. I've studied it in great detail. This sort of stuff works. Now, something that you may not be aware of, and I'm going to talk about this weekend, is neuro-linguistic programming. Let me ask the audience, actually, how many of you here have heard of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming? Not in trading, but just in general. How many of you have actually heard of that? It'd be very interesting to see how many people have heard of that. Yeah, psycho-cybernetics. Yeah, that's the same sort of thing, Brandon. Yeah. Tony Rogers, says Ian. Yeah, that's where I initially found it. Yeah. Tony, that's interesting to know. Okay, you're a certified practitioner. Maybe drop me an email. You might want to participate this weekend then, because I'm certainly not certified. But there's a few people out there who are actually saying I'm practitioners of it. Okay, some of them certified. 3 people now. That's interesting. Let me ask you another question then before we wrap up. How many of you here have heard of the universal law of attraction? How many of you have heard of that universal law? Just want to see how much that's really hitting the... A lot of people saying, oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. So suddenly we're all becoming awakened to something that we didn't know about maybe... Well, it's been known about for over 150 years, but and it's probably been known about for thousands of years. What's very interesting about the financial markets and the law of attraction is there's definitely a connection between the two, in that all we're trying to do when we're on this planet is to obviously have health and happiness, but wealth. And trading the markets is a wealth, you know, when we trade and when we invest, we're taking risk. Some people don't understand the nature of risk and what actually is a low-risk trade. And the reason for that is we become very impatient. What we're going to talk about this weekend, and certainly I'm going to be focusing on, is a trading plan. That's very, very important. And why patience, just even a few days of patience sometimes when you're going to take a trade, just wait, because sometimes you're better to sit on your hands and not take a trade and wait for the principle. And I learned this from Tom many years ago, and it's massively, massively helped me in my trading and investing, to the point that, as I say, now I can look at a chart and see certain opportunities which are there immediately, but I can also see opportunities that are setting up for the future. Philip, just going back to you, when you started trading 26 years ago, you've learned a lot since that moment, but how difficult did you find it initially to try to understand and make money in the market?
Well, I first started getting involved, I had an interest in the markets in the very late 1960s. So I've seen a lot of change in the markets, a lot of new things come along. It's been quite an interesting time. But looking back, I now realise just how much I thought I knew back then, and in fact, how little I did actually know. And it was 25 years ago I first came across Tom's software, and he just brought it out only a short period ago from then. and I saw it in an advert in the Financial Times, actually, in the UK. And that was a groundbreaking moment, because although having bought the software, because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have all the facilities of training, etc., that we have today, it did take me quite a long while to pick it up. And I picked up a part of it. I could see clearly there was something there. I tried everything else, and I think I got to the point almost of feeling like giving up, because I always felt I was behind the market. But there was something in what Tom was teaching that I could see had something quite different to everything else I'd come across in the past, and I persevered with it. And thank goodness I did, because if I hadn't done, I would probably still be in the dark today. But I pushed forward. I decided I was going to really, I think what I did was to actually put everything else to one side that I'd used in the past, what I called my supports that I fell back on. And I put all that to one side and said, look, if VSA is this good, I'm going to just focus on this one thing and nothing else. It'll either make me money or it won't. And I just concentrated on that. And with Tom's help, and Tom was very patient with me, I finally got those missing pieces of the jigsaw, and everything just suddenly fell into place. And since then, I've been really thrilled with VSA. And there's no way I could look at a chart now that didn't have volume on it. I wouldn't have the confidence to take any position in any market without having volume present. So I think that's the best tribute I can give.
Yeah, I mean, and Jerry's saying, I guess that makes you're making money with VSA. Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. We're not trying to. I mean, I was talking to Mark from Bloomberg about this. I said that we've got customers that have gone out and done articles in papers where they've said, hey, I've made it work with VSA. But what they've done is they've applied themselves, a bit like when you want to play golf or anything. You have to apply yourself. I did. I knew there was something in this when I first met Tom. Definitely, but we talked about the 5 Ds of success, and I think this probably, and I spent a lot of time looking at this, is what makes a good trader. And you tell me if I'm wrong here, Philip. You develop the right attitude, because that's really important to anything you do in life. Then you determine the optimum approach to your attitude. So what is my best way to get there quickly? Now, if you're trading, you've got to detect where the smart money are going on the chart, and that's pretty much the foundation of what we do at Trade Guide, as you all know. That's what we're all about. We're detecting where the professional money are putting themselves in. But then, how do you become decisive? That's where NLP comes in, and that's where the law of attraction actually comes in too. It's your belief system to make and take that trade and make that decision. And then once you've taken a trading decision, you've got to keep learning from it, which is what you do. Every single trade will teach you a lesson. I don't care what anyone tells me. Even today, doesn't matter whether I'm in front of an audience trading, whether I'm trading at home on my own. Every trade, whether it's a winner or a loser, I seem to learn something. And it builds the confidence up, which means, you know, hopefully, touch wood, I'll be trading live on television in the early part of 2015. I'll be happy to do it, because I'm confident in what I do, thanks to Tom, and of course thanks to Philip as well, because I've learned as much as I've learned from Tom, I've learned from Philip as well. So we've all taught each other as a team, and I think that I want to take that message that we've got into 2015. We're all here to help each other, all right, all of us, okay? And what I believe is going to help everyone going into the new year is going to be the VSA Club, where we're going to have a lot of interaction with people, and also, most importantly, talking to each other in the various forums. We've got a Facebook page which is going to be really pushed forward in 2015, where we didn't really do much with it last year. We've still got thousands of followers, but we want to engage with people and open their minds. And how that's going to happen, I think, will be getting in front of them on television, questioning what they're doing with their trading and investing, and then saying, hey, the chart never lies if you know how to read it, for sure. Philip, any final words that you want to add? Michael's asking, are there many fund managers using VSA? Well, I know Philip does, and I know several others personally that I know, but could I, Michael, put a figure on it internationally? No, I couldn't, but I know there's a lot. I couldn't put a figure on it, but I've spoken to at least more than 20 people in my time at Trade Guide who are professional fund managers who use the software. So the answer is yeah, they do. But I certainly wouldn't want to give you a figure on it because I don't know the answer to that. James is asking what platforms do the trackers run in? You mean the email alerts, I think is what you mean, and that is Infinity AT platform, MetaTrader 4 and 5, NinjaTrader, eSignal version 11, and TradeStation, I think is where it's currently at. I don't think, however, TradeStation does email alerts. I think the main email alerts come from either NinjaTrader, MT4, and Infinity. Now, if you've got questions, and I'm sure some of you have got questions about some of the things, I'm pleased to introduce you, for those of you that are new, to Abraham Shashina, who's based out of America in the United States, because I know a lot of you are on different time zones. He's a customer who joined the team as an advisor. He's also a trader. He's been a prop trader for a number of years, so he knows what he's doing. If you've got questions, just go to tradeguider.com, okay, and I'll put his email address up as well. Generally speaking here, you see here, it says talk to a VSA expert. You can click on that, and that will take you through directly to Abraham, or you can email him. He's a great guy, at abraham@tradeguider.com, okay? And if you've got questions about the mentorship courses or anything like that, whether they're helpful, he's been through pretty much everything. So abraham@tradeguider.com, and he's based out of San Diego, Philip, San Diego. So he's in the United States. Yeah, and he just said, I'm available to answer any questions to help you guys. Now, just keep in mind, everyone in this room is already a TradeGuider customer anyway, but if you're trying to further your development or you want to talk about some of the courses that are available, Abraham knows pretty much everything that we do. So if you want pointing in the right direction, he's your man. And we met him in Barcelona, in Spain, probably 5 months ago now. Crikey, where does that go? But anyway, he's there for you. He's there to help you. Okay. Philip, any final words from you before we... I'll connect with you afterwards, Philip, on Skype so we can talk about this weekend's event.
No, I don't think so. I think it's, the indices are looking very interesting at the moment. I think that's probably the I say the clearest charts. To be honest, all the charts are clear at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of interesting charts right now.
Yeah, I think this week and next week could be massive. Yeah, I believe we could have a very good start to 2014. Good. All right, well then it just remains for me to say to all of you, thank you very much indeed for being here today and starting off our new year in a very positive way, which I know it will be. Hopefully you'll be there on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to do a course never quite done before. It's going to be a mixture of chart reading and belief. And if we can get those things right and produce that course, I think it'll be one of the best courses we've done. So hope to see you there. And again, on Wednesday, by the way, if you don't get the email, Ian, it'll be where the Federal Reserve, okay, speak. And that will be at 7 p.m. UK time. I'll probably open the room half an hour earlier, but I will actually make sure that we post the links to the room in tradingthemarkets.com. We have a page you can log in to get it. So if you're having trouble with email, you'll be able to do that, okay? So Happy New Year to all of you. Philip, I'll Skype you straight afterwards here. And look forward, for those of you attending, see you on Saturday and Sunday. Look forward to it. Take care, God bless, and have a great 2015. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.